Hey, hey. I hope everybody is having a great where am I at? I'm in the room. But yeah, ARC, thanks for jumping on. I'm gonna be sending you those photos of a bunch of the stuff I've been putting together. All right, but anyways, today's video, I've got something I think that's kind of unique and interesting. There aren't a lot of fishermen. I don't see actually anyone talking about this. And I think it's very important. So, without further ado, what tonight's video is going to be about is El Nino and La Nino, and how that affects the weather patterns and the fishing in the West Coast and the East Coast, North and South America. El Nino and La Nino actually affect the entire world. They affect the jet streams, all that stuff. So we're gonna. This isn't a weather channel, so bear with me, but I think you guys will enjoy tonight's topic. And we got a couple of really cool tips. If you're a local fisherman, I want to talk really quick about new Maloney's. And I'm going to be out at the lake again tomorrow. And I played with it and I've kind of figured it out. I understand. Hey, how's it going, Gerbs and RC Creative? Great to see you guys on tonight. So I've really figured it out that when I'm doing these live streams from the lake, I have to watch positioning of the sun, where the camera's at. It probably wouldn't hurt if I'm moving the boat, then I need to move the camera position as well. Also, one thing is that when I'm talking and chatting to you guys, I need to make sure I'm facing the camera because you can't hear me that good. So I'm going to work on quality of production and make sure that hopefully it's a better trip out there. So I'll be out at New Maloney's. I was out there a couple of days ago. My son smacked a 4-pounder. He got about a 3.5 pound spot. I got almost about a 3-pound spot. Bunch of 2.5 pound spots, 2-pound spots, barely any spots under a pound. Just real healthy fish. I think we ended up catching like 25, 26 or more. And what happened was we were throwing the drop shot, catching some fish, but really I started noticing my son was kicking my butt. My 13-year-old boy had like 8 fish while I had 3. And I'm like, wait a minute, because I'm understanding I'm watching what he's doing. He's dragging and he's just holding his drop shot and it's just dragging along the bottom real slow. And then he's just getting bit and reeling and their fish are on, right? And I'm over here just a little bit too active. So, anyways, I put 2 and 2 together when obviously I know that the bass are eating goby right now or sculpin. But I really underestimated the importance of my bait needing to be on the bottom. So I kind of put 2 and 2 together at about 11 o'clock and I put a Ned rig on. And from maybe 12 until we went home at about 4 or so, 4:30, I just started destroying them. And then Johnny put on a Ned rig. He started destroying them. So right now, if you're fishing New Maloney's, a Ned rig is killing it. I'm sure the fish are going to switch and change soon, but right now they're on the bottom. They want lures on the bottom. They're really slow and they're in 40 or 30 to 70 feet deep. So great time out there, but we're only catching the 1 to 3 pounders with an occasional 4 here and there. Now, I had on 2 monsters, absolute beasts. And I know exactly how I'm going to go get them. But for everybody, if you're fishing New Maloney's, the big bass right now are in 2 places. They're either sitting up shallow right now and they're eating and ambushing trout, crappie, and anything that's coming up shallow, mostly trout and salmon. And I've been sitting there on this main lake point in a couple of spots, and I just watched a big, 10-pound plus bass probably send a trout flying into the air with a huge explosion. It was so awesome to see. I didn't catch it on video, didn't catch it on camera, but my son saw it. And so I know immediately the bass that are in the 5+ pound range right now are needing to be targeted probably with swim baits and really deep diving cranks or something. And check this out. So location number 2 where these monsters are sitting is they're sitting in the trees. So New Maloney's, when it's full, the trees are in 200, 250, 200 feet of water almost. It's like fishing a normal lake. As soon as New Maloney's gets low enough, the trees start becoming in 40 to 70 or 80 feet, or the trees could be in 80 feet and the top of the tree could be in 30 feet or 40 feet. And right now, the monsters are sitting in the tops of those trees and inside of the trees. So what I'd be using is a Texas rig and a jig with a nice good weed guard. Get your lure down there, let it get down there, and just barely move it. Work slow. You'll feel a nice thump, and there are beasts on there. The trick is just trying to pull them out of the trees. So I lost two monsters, but I've had people with me both times, and it just wasn't a fun strategy. We kept getting snagged in the trees. We were using drop shots, Ned rigs, LV500s, and we were catching fish, but when we get in the trees, it's just no fun. And so you got to use something weedless, Texas rig, bullet weight, brush hog, Cinco, throw it out there, let it go right into the trees. And we're talking 50, 60 feet deep. And the monsters are sitting in the trees right now. And so I'm excited to get back out there tomorrow. I'm going to do two techniques. I'm going to head to the trees first. I'm going to take a Texas rig, 1/4 ounce bullet weight, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try to put a big one in the boat in the first few hours. If I'm not successful at landing any of those monsters, then I'm going to shoot across towards the dam, fish that main shore that I always fish. Then I'll fish and shoot across to the other side, south of Tuttletown, and fish some islands and some shoreline out there. So they've been in 50, 60, slow, Ned rig. So if you're fishing the mother lode lakes, that's what I assume is going to be on. But tonight's video, I wanted to talk about El Nino and La Nino real quick here. And I'm going to actually do another video on this where I'm going to actually share the screen. We're going to take you guys to some weather stuff. And so it's not just my word. We're going to use some meteorologists and some other people to back up what I'm seeing. Now, I've lived in California my whole life, and I've lived in the Central Valley since I was about 8 or 9 years old. Moved from Monterey, so all right, for sure, I'll check that out. And then also the let go, all that good stuff. So we're gonna work on that. But New Maloney's is on fire right now. If you just fish slow, I'm sure there's areas you can A-rig fish and do some other stuff for sure, probably upriver. Coyote Creek's been good. But I'm sticking in the main lake and just fishing really slow, really deep, and I'm just cracking them left and right, like every cast. So, it's just nuts, or you're at least getting bit every cast. It's just wicked. It's awesome. So I'm going to get out there. We're going to do that tomorrow, and I'm going to live stream from the lake. Now, the El Nino, La Nina part, I want to get back to that real quick. I've been in California my whole life, and I've been in the Central Valley since I was about 8, 9 years old. And I fished these mother lode lakes since I was like 13 to 15. So let's just say I've got about 25 years of experience or more fishing the mother lode lakes and the area, the Central Valley area, right? And I've always noticed, we've always known about El Nino, right? And La Nina. And it's a weather pattern that every 4 to 7 years, you have a weather pattern that usually lasts for 4 to 7 years. And when you go El Nino, then the West Coast on the south part, right? The whole West Coast, most of it, gets a really wet, massive snowpack, rainfall, usually a cold winter. And the water temperatures will get into the 40s, really low 40s, mid 40s. And what happens is the East Coast actually tends to get dry and not as much rain in Texas or Florida, Georgia, the East and the South. It changes the jet streams. And so a certain swath of America just gets really wet, really cold, while the other side doesn't. And then when La Nina comes, it flops, it flips. And the West Coast, the whole West side, Midwest and West Coast goes through 4 to 7 years of drought and warm winter, while the East Coast gets usually a bad hurricane season. The South, hurricane season, monsoons and stuff in other areas, and more rain and cold for them. So it switches. So if you're here on the West Coast, El Nino is the one that's really wet and really cold. La Nina is the one that's warm and dry. If you're on the East Coast and the Southeast, then it's opposite. El Nino will be dry and mild for you guys, while La Nina will be wet and wild for you guys. So depending on where you're at in America. What's up, Gaming with Chronicles? Oh, real quick side note, I got everybody's stuff sent out. So even like my UK viewers, I got you your stuff. All my members, I got you your stuff. All of the subscribers that won in the giveaway, I got you your stuff. So super excited. I made sure that I got everybody's giveaway stuff out. So look to see that in the mail in the next few days here. So super excited to get all that out. But what I wanted to hammer on is how El Nino and La Nina affect the fishing. So in my 25 years of fishing, we've gone through at least three maybe switches or four of those major transitions. And what I've seemed to notice is when we're in a El Nino, a wet, cold year, the fishing is brutal on us. It's cold, it's windy, it's just uncomfortable, but the fishing can be great. There's a lot of water coming into the lakes. The fish will push up shallow a lot of the time, even in the winter. They'll head upriver. They'll head up into Bagby. They'll head into the Narrows. They'll head into the creek arms a little bit earlier than normal because there's fresh incoming water coming in, and there's a lot of it. The water's dirty, so reaction can actually work real good. There's a ton of water coming in. So even when it's really cold and it's winter, blade baits, LVs, the fish suspend, spoons. You can go into the backs of creeks and areas and find all the bait down 50, 60 feet deep, and you can use jigging spoons, LV 500s, even drop shots and stuff. The fishing is usually active, and it's a specific wintertime bite. You'll know it when you see it, and you know what I'm talking about. When we go through those El Nino years, the water in the lake rises faster. The fish will usually push up a little shallower than they will. In a La Nina year, it's dry. There's not a lot of, hey, good evening, Ronald. Nice to see you on. Got everybody's stuff out. So you were one of them. Just sent you your stuff as well. So anyways, when it's La Nina, we're going to have a dry winter here on the West Coast. And it's going to be, the lake is going to rise a lot slower. It may even drop. The fish, there's not going to be as much fresh incoming water coming in. So the water's not going to be as stained and as dirty. More finesse tactics. The bass are going to more on the main lake because the lakes get into a drought mode and they go lower and lower and lower. So the fish pull out of the creek arms, pull out of the river arms, and congregate kind of on the main lake body. And in an El Nino year, they tend to be up in the creeks, cracks, crevices, fresh water coming in, coves, things where they can push bait fish and keep them there, and there's fresh water coming in. And reaction will usually work a lot better. Darker colors because the water's stained, faster movement because you can get that fish to decide, boom, am I going to hit that? So things like the jerk bait, dark green and brown jigs work great. What's up, Marco? Nice to see you on tonight. So it's super important to understand what part of that weather pattern we're in. Are we in El Nino or are we in La Nina? Now remember, West Coast, El Nino's wet and cold, La Nina dry and warm. And for the East Coast, the South is opposite. And so you just got to figure out those tropes, right? So, hey, Mike, nice to see you. You got your stuff sent out too. So when the La Nina year is here, the lake's dropping or it's not raising that much. We're usually in a drought stage. Water levels are lower. So try to remember, in my general opinion, La Nina years, you're going to want to fish main lake points, cuts and coves on the main lake and stay near the main lake. Even if you're in some creeks and channels, stay near the main lake. That's usually where they're at in the winter. If it's El Nino, get up in the creeks, get up in the backs of creeks, get upriver where that fresh water's coming in, and fish a little more aggressive as far as reaction. You can use blade baits, you can use jigs, you can use all kinds of stuff, and you're probably going to have a lot more fun usually in an El Nino year. A La Nina year is going to be one of those dry, warm winters where the fish are just really tough to pattern, because one day after enough warm weather, heck, they may pull up real shallow. The bait may move up. They may be doing some stuff, and then the next couple of days, and you're not having wild temp swings, but if the barometric pressure is there or the bait does what they do, boom, all of a sudden those fish just shut down. They settle down. They're hard to catch. And a lot of the time too is understanding the bait cycle. So are the fish on shad, which are usually suspended and moving around, or are the fish on goby and sculpin, which are right on the bottom? So goby and sculpin are bottom feeders like catfish, plecostomus. They're going to be smack dab on the bottom. So if you're out fishing, you catch a bass and you pull it up, what's it got in its mouth? If it's got crawdads in its mouth, throw a jig. Fish rocks, rock piles, and islands. If the fish is spitting up shad, you're probably going to want to throw a spoon, an LV500, something similar like a blade bait, and you're probably going to need to find some fish suspended in coves or on main lake points where they'll be attacking those shad, and also any wood. So shad are going to, they're real particular, temperature, all that good stuff. So if they're throwing up sculpin or goby, those are almost always, no matter what time of year, on the bottom, because that's just what they do. They're just the same thing that you would have in your fish tank, the armored catfish that sits on the bottom or sits stuck to the glass and it's got a little sucker mouth. That's all a sculpin or a goby is. And so right now, particularly at New Maloney's, the bass are spitting up sculpin. So that means you're going to want to stay on the bottom. Don't move your lure. And now the best sculpin imitation lure, to be very honest, people are going to say it's the dark sleeper because it's an actual sculpin. However, I beg to differ. I think a Ned rig gets on the bottom, flies onto the bottom, and then the head of the Ned's usually like a stand-up jig, so your Ned will usually be kind of standing up, while a sculpin is kind of doing that. It's got its face buried into the muck and mud, right? And a dark sleeper, what's happening is that's like a swim bait, so it's real easy to pop and swim and move that thing. I mean, you can use it the same. Don't get me wrong, they're both great lures. Dark sleeper's probably going to catch you a few bigger fish, though. It's a bigger presentation, has a little more kick and movement, while the Ned rig's a little more finesse. Other thing is dark sleepers do have a nice top hook, and the fin is really flimsy, so it's not really much of a weed guard. I just think, the body of the sculpin and the dark sleeper is pretty thick. And on a Ned rig, it's just a small tube, basically, just a little like a Cinco piece, right? So when the fish eat it, you have much more gap and room to stick that hook into the fish's mouth. So just pay attention. Now, I did some looking, and it looks like apparently we're in and you could tell what type of weather system we're in after a month or so into the winter. So this year we had a really wet and cold winter on the West Coast. So right after Christmas or right before Christmas, it was in the 40s. It was in the 30s at night. The water temperature was dropping rapidly, and it was extremely cold. We had a lot of rain come in, right? It was great. Now, the last 3 weeks have just been blue skies, 60-something degrees, even almost 70 degrees, which is very, very warm for the winter. The lows at night are not really low. So we're definitely, and I looked it up, they say that we're in a La Nina year, which means we're in a dry year. Fish should stay on the main lake more. Fish probably are going to be deeper is there's always going to be fish shallow and there's always going to be fish deep. There's always going to be fish doing different things, but it's trying to figure out how to catch either the numbers for fun if you're taking kids and family and stuff, or how to catch size if you're trying to win a tournament. And if you want size, in my opinion, I don't think most of the giant bass are down there eating sculpin. There probably are quite a few down there doing that. However, I think the big bass over 5 pounds are sitting up on main lake points, because right now you have the turnover, it's winter time, so all the trout are up. So normally in the summertime, the trout are 90 feet deep, 100 feet deep, 80, 60 feet deep, whatever, out in the middle of the lake. Right now, those trout are pulling up. They're in the top 10 feet of the water column, 20 feet at the most, and they're also right up against shore. So these big monster bass that are looking for that one key meal, they're going to be in obvious ambush spots where wind can go across stuff, main lake points, wherever current might swing across something, and they can sit out there and ambush and smack a prey. And the other thing they're also going to do, particularly with new Maloney's, is especially when the lake is in a drought level and it starts lowering, and once you get enough away from shore, those big trees are out there. The water could be 20 feet above those trees, and those big old giant bass will sit in the treetops looking up, and they'll ambush trout that come by. And I've seen it personally in the last few trips out at New Maloney's. I watched a monster throw a trout into the air, a big old explosion like a striper. I was like, oh, I really need to start throwing some glide baits right now. And, I've seen a few explosions that were way too big to be trout. And a trout, when it jumps, it's going to do two things. You're going to see, when you see trout in the surface in the winter, you're going to see them do this little swirl, and it'll be a small a ripple and go out. That's usually when they're trying to attack something small, or they're eating something on the surface, or they've got some bait, or they're chasing and doing something close to the surface, eating little bugs or little things. And that's a normal trout thing. The other one you might see is a trout come leaping out of the water. And in that case, usually when trout come leaping out of the water, they're being chased by a bigger fish, a predatory fish, especially if it's an 8 to 12 inch little trout doing that. Now, when you see just a poosh, and it's just this big, 2 foot wide explosion, that's usually not a trout, especially in the winter, because there aren't catfish and carp up at the top blasting around. So the only things that should be right now at the top of the water column are going to be trout, salmon, and then the big ass bass that eat those fish. And they're usually going to be in an ambush spot sitting. So right now, if I was going to New Maloney's, which I am tomorrow, like I said, what I'm going to start with is a Texas rig and a nice thick weed cover jig, and fish in the trees. I'm going to try to pull a monster out in the first few hours. If I don't have any luck going for the bigger fish, I'm probably even going to throw maybe a glide bait or a crankbait for a few casts on a couple main lake points with the right stuff. But I'm going to focus, because I actually had 2 mondos on. I'm going to focus in the trees and try to fish the trees. I think the bigger fish are sitting in those trees waiting for trout to come across, especially main lake points, key areas where the fish are moving around. Hey, Ray, nice to see you on. I got your stuff sent out too, by the way, brother. So I just sent everybody's Christmas giveaway stuff out. I know it's been a while. I had COVID, had all that crap to deal with. Then I had work for a little bit, and then I was broke for a second. Not really broke, but I mean, just having to deal with some money things, move it around, pay bills, do all this crap. So I finally got everybody's stuff. I was like $100 and something just in shipping. So I got everybody their stuff. So I'm excited. You guys should all be getting your stuff in the mail soon. So appreciate you guys very much. Every single one of my viewers, subscribers. And if you're somebody who's watching and you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit that little subscribe button, leave a like and a comment. They really help the channel out. But anyways, thanks so much. I'm super excited. So I just wanted to talk about the El Nino and La Nino effect on fishing. I think it's just very important to understand that when it's La Nina, Yeah, better late than never, right? When it's La Nina, that those fish are usually pulling off. It's drought conditions, lakes usually lowering, or if it is raising in the winter, it's doing it real slow. And it's a warmer time of year, which usually means bluebird skies, so no cloud cover. When there's cloud cover and wind and chop, that's when those bigger fish, that's when the fish become a little bit more active and they're looking for something to eat. You get this bluebird sky, there's not a cloud in the sky, 60 something degrees in the middle of the winter. Bass are just sunk down there doing their thing, eating sculpin and goby right now. At least the 0 to like 3 to 4 pounders. The big fish, in my opinion, are obviously eating trout, salmon, crappie, bluegill, whatever bait fish is out there that's decent size right now, big crawdads. And so, easiest way to target them, in my opinion, at New Maloney's is going to be by throwing uh, weedless stuff into the trees and fishing it very slow and methodically so they don't snag into a tree. And then when I get a fish, I just got to be able to pull them out of those trees. So I'm thinking I'm going to throw a rod with braid or either like 20 plus pound mono or something. So we'll see what goes on. We're going to try to catch some big fish for you guys tomorrow. And I will be live streaming. So I live streamed from the lake a couple days ago. I did a 6-hour live stream. We had a bunch of people get on for the first hour or so, but I think what happened is we didn't really catch a lot of fish. It was kind of probably boring. And being that it's my first few times doing it from the lake, it's not just quite set up perfect yet. And I had to kind of watch what's up, what's going on, keeping it real. I had to watch my live stream and kind of critique myself and be like, oh man, okay, so 20 minutes I'm sitting out the front and I'm talking, but you guys can't even barely hear me. So I'm going to try to make a balance of fishing efficiently, but also hanging out near the phone, near the screen, so I can read your comments, interact with you guys, and have fun, and make it, instead of trying to catch 30 or 40 fish, I want to spend more quality time with you guys. Hey, what's up, Charles Chalk? So just got your stuff out, brother. So that's the idea, is more quality content. Squeaky chair too. Yeah, well, that was my son. So what I had is my son was in the chair, right? And I had the camera right underneath the chair facing the front of the boat so you guys could see me. Tomorrow, I'm not taking nobody with me. So my dog's not coming. My son's not coming. And so, yeah, I had to think about all that stuff. That chair was very squeaky. It was probably annoying. But if you manage to stay and hang out for a while, towards the end of the live stream, we caught like 25 plus fish. We just started destroying them. It was super awesome. But I think honestly, once we hit like an hour or two in, we had like 2 or 3 people. At one point, we had 4. We only had a couple people on. So hopefully I'm going to try to keep your guys' engagement and do a great job for you guys. So tomorrow I'm going to focus on, yes, I want to go get fish. I've got a plan to try to catch some of these big fish out of the trees, but I would actually prefer to catch 1 or 2 really quality fish in an hour or two's time, communicate and talk with you guys, have a great time, crack jokes, have fun, and just put on a great live show from the lake for you guys. Then to have squeaky chairs, the sun in your eyes, bad audio, and me catch a ton of fish, but they're all 1-2 pounders. So I've got a battle plan. I'm going to go out there. We'll live stream. If I get a big one, I'll probably start the live stream after I land it, or once I start getting bit. We're going to see how the trees play out. And after that, I'm going to shoot across and do my usual milk run. And we'll bounce around a couple of spots there. But I'll have some wiggle room to put you guys maybe in the front of the boat and face, and then I can fish in the back of the boat. I can set my spot lock up. I can even, what I've been doing mostly is drift fishing and just kind of letting the wind push me around. Because my trolling motor battery's only got about 3 hours worth of juice. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Got to go do something real quick. Sorry, folks. All right. So it's just going to be me out there tomorrow at Lake New Maloney's. And if you guys want, I'm going to be interactive. You guys can actually send me around the lake if you want. If you're local and you know some spots, I'll probably be down to pick up and go smash around and be interactive and fish where you guys want. But at least I got a battle plan. I want to try to pull some monsters out of the trees. Then we're gonna go head by the dam, fish my little milk run, and from there, hey, the sky's the limit. So, but I was just, I've been really thinking about the El Nino La Nino stuff, and I'm gonna do a video that is edited down and shares the screen, and we're going to show you guys the lakes. We're going to show you what they look like in an El Nino year versus a La Nina year from Google Earth. That way we can even see the differences in the color of the water, all that great stuff. And we'll show you what I'm talking about, how the lake drops or raises in certain, we'll put a nice little video together for you guys. So I'm excited to do that. We're going to have that coming up soon. Also, right now, you guys can't see it, but hey, smash that like button if you guys could for me. I know you guys are watching the video. If you get a chance, it always helps. But let's see here. I'm going to pull up and show you guys a sneak peek really quick of what I'm working on here. So bear with me for just one moment, folks. So just hang out here real quick. I'm going to show you guys this, and we're going to move on to a different subject. But I thought it'd be really cool to give you guys a sneak peek of this is the video of me and my son at Pedro or New Maloney's, and this is what I'm working on. So I'm hoping tomorrow's trip out there will be just as good, hopefully. There we go. Look at that. Great job, Jonathan. Bam! That's a big fish. Yeah. Look at that, that's folks. My boy right there. Move out the way, Charlie. Move out the way, Charlie. Okay, so I know the audio is right next to you guys. Okay, so really quick, I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about here. Okay. Great job, Jonathan. Bam! That's a big fish. Yeah. Look at that. There we go. Look at that fish that he got, guys. Great job, Jonathan. Bam! That's a big fish. Yeah. Look at that, folks. he got a big old largemouth. So super excited. Hopefully we can get out there and put some similar fish in the boat. At least I am by myself. So no dog to step on the net. No kid to eat all my food. And to have to net his fish all day. Man, that boy was smacking him. He may have outfished me as far as numbers. I think at the end of the day, I caught a couple more than him. But dude, yeah, bam, right there. He caught way bigger fish than me. So like his best five would have just squashed my best five. If we were in a tournament, he had 12 pounds or more by himself. I had 9 or 10 pounds. So proud father moment right there. We had a blast out there. So tomorrow I'll be out there live streaming, looking to have a lot of fun. So sorry I'm on late. Usually supposed to be on at 7, but I was cooking tri-tip, cooking dinner for the family. My son has soccer, so was busy just taking care of all that good stuff. And I was really not wanting to miss tonight's live stream because I missed yesterday's. So tomorrow, though, instead of doing the live stream here in the room, we're going to be out at the lake. But again, my best advice I could give you is try to do a little bit of research on the lake that you're at. Find out if they have goby, sculpin, shad, trout, kokanee, salmon, whatever. Just find out a little bit about the bait, and then you'll know a lot about what to do from there. And then also, it really helps to understand, are we in El Nino or La Nina? And then that kind of can give you a battle plan for attacking your lake in the winter. Because winter can be tough fishing. There, like I said, there can be fish shallow, there can be fish deep. Sometimes they're suspended. In the true story here, one winter at New Maloney's, we were catching bass suspended over nearly 300, or it was like, no, it was like 200 feet of water, and they were about 60 feet down in a big cove out just a bit down on a big school, and we were using jigging spoons and stuff like that, and we were just tearing them up, and uh, LV 500s and all that. And another time at New Maloney's during the summertime, same exact pattern. They were out in the middle of the lake, 50, 60 feet deep, LV 500, stuff like that. And a good friend of mine, Aaron, won the tournament by doing that. Well, everybody else, we all got our butts kicked. I'm talking Ryan Cook, Nick the Informative Fisherman, me. We went out there and we just struggled. While these guys went out and put a really good bag together by yo-yoing LV 500s over like 200 feet of water, 50 feet deep. You need a fish finder for that. So one, I do not have my fish finder yet. My trolling motor batteries only hold about a 3-hour charge. And yeah, so those are some of the things that I'm dealing with. So I've got to try to position the boat where the wind is coming at my face, because the nose of the boat will kind of cut the wind. If the boat is flipped the other way around, the wind will push the boat faster. And then what I'm able to do is, if I put my nose into the wind, I can tap the trolling motor every once in a while and kind of, the wind pushes me back and then I go forward. Then the wind pushes me back and then I go forward a little bit. And then I can allow the wind to push me back and then go forward a little bit. And then I can drift and fish a big old portion of shoreline only using my trolling motor a little. So I'm kind of stuck in what I can or can't do. But good news, folks, the boat is going back into the shop the 28th, this Friday. So I'm taking the trip Wednesday, tomorrow, out to New Maloney's. And that's probably going to be my last fishing trip for a couple days, maybe even a week. So to take the boat out to CNC Marine on Friday, and we're going to see how long it's going to take them to get my live well fixed, what's wrong, and why it's not working correctly. And then also look at potentially switching out my batteries and my fish finder. It just all depends. I don't have a ton of money. I'm going to have to use my credit card, but I'm like, screw it. It needs to be done. I can't just keep fishing like this. It's working out and I'm having fun, but I'm missing out on so much more that I'd like to share with you guys. I'd like to take you guys along and show you how you can use, you don't need a $2,000, $3,000 live scope, super duper fancy fish finder. I can show you how to use, if it's got down scan and side imaging, and it's a decent $400 or $500 fish finder, I can show you how to dial that sucker in and figure out the fish. And you can see them, you can see the trees, the branches, the fish in the trees. I can show you how to find fish when they're on the bottom and they appear to be invisible, like they're not there. But if you zoom in, you look on the bottom, they'll look like these little slightly different color, almost rocks than the bottom, and those will be the fish. Really, really hard to spot them, but I've kind of figured it out over the years. And when you hook one and you catch them and you bring them up, you'll see all of a sudden on your fish finder the line of the fish coming up, and you may even see a couple fish coming with it. And before you caught the fish, nothing on the graph, and it comes up right off the bottom. And then when you start paying attention, you'll rewind and look at your footage. You'll actually see there's these little discolorations down there on the bottom, and those are the bass. So I'm super excited to try to put some stuff together for the channel, for me, for my betterment. I've got a tournament coming up in 3 weeks, so just got a hook reveal 7 triple shot, need to dial it in. That's actually the fish finder I have. It's not a bad fish finder. I hate my trolling motor. So my spot lock on my trolling motor does not have good calibration, and it'll spin too many times in one direction, and it snaps my transducer cord or pinches it and just jacks it up. So I'm going to have to get a deployable that'll go up by my trolling motor and all my stuff, a little deployable transducer mount that is for it, and and then when I drive, I lift it up. Just when I lift my trolling motor up and put it and lock it away, I'll lift up my fish finder, put it and lock it away. And then when I drive and I pull to a spot, I drop my trolling motor, and then I have to drop my fish finder. They'll be separate, but I'll know exactly where my fish finder is pointing, where it's at, and it'll never get broken and jacked up again. I can show you how to dial your triple shot in really good. It's actually not a bad fish finder. It was only like $400, $500 at the most. I think I even got it for like $399 or something. But it's a Hook Reveal 7. And that bad boy would just show me everything. I mean, that was such a great fish finder for the price until my spot lock destroyed it. The one thing I have to say about the triple shot is the transducer is like this big. So I don't know if they've updated it, upgraded it, and went to the smaller one, but mine is like freaking this big. It's so annoying. I hate that, because it's easy to break and bust off in the rocks. So just be careful for that. But other than that, it has a really clear view and really clear image. And it's almost, I hate to say it, but it felt like when you had it dialed in right, it almost felt like live scope. Like I could see the stupid fish swim up. I could see my line even. I could see my lure. I was like, damn, I can actually, I'm drop shotting, right? When I have my triple shot, and I'd see my line, and then you'd see it go down, as it time stamps, and then it's over here. And I'd see my little lure. Then you'd see a fish go down, like look at it. And sure enough, boom, oh, fish on. Oh, it was so awesome. That was a great little fish finder for the price. But again, my particular situation is I just been kicked in the nuts by the fishing gods this year. I mean, I got a double digit last year. Well, this year, it's January, so technically we're in the new year. But last year I got a double digit and caught some great fish. But most of the year, pretty much all the year, I've been fishing blind. No fish finder, no electronics. So everything you've been seeing me do on my channel at the Delta here has been all blind instinct and just feel and just going off of what I would assume the fish are doing. So I can't wait to get that fish finder back. I'll do some videos for you guys, show you guys how to dial them in, make sure you have your Navionics chips, show you guys how some of my pinpoints and my locations. I'll give you guys some of my juice on the lakes. So I'll break down McClure, Pedro, Maloney's, the Delta, give you guys some of my hot spots. Not all of them, but I'll give you guys a good amount of them and show you guys where to fish at what time of year. So I can't wait till we can get a little more complicated and a little more nuanced on the channel and get a little more in depth. So I'm looking forward to that, getting back to a couple of the whiteboard videos, so we're doing some change, trying to figure out what exactly works and what everybody likes on the channel here. I like doing these live streams. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday when I can, and then odd days, if I miss, I'm going to still be trying to sit in here, talk with you guys, have a great time. Yeah, a lot of people put the transducer in the back of the boat with the triple shot. Matter of fact, that's one that a lot of guys might have on the on their console, and then in the back. The problem with having the triple shot in the back is it's easy to break it when you load your boat onto the trailer if it's not just installed perfectly. When it's on the trolling motor, the only way you're going to destroy your triple shot when it's on your trolling motor is if you smash into the rocks when you're cruising along. If you're shallow and you're not paying attention, you're running too high a speed, or say there's instances where you're up shallow, you're fishing, you get snagged, you get a big fish on, something happens, the stupid wake boat comes by, it's in the middle of summer, 3 foot, 5 foot wave comes and it starts smashing you into the rocks. You're trying to move or maneuver and you bump, smash into the rocks. Yeah, that triple shot, the transducer setup's very susceptible to damage. So I've heard most people have said they've snapped them on the back end. So if you're using triple shot, I'd put it on the trolling motor and just be careful with it. I just had the unfortunate case of my stupid spot lock just messing up on me. Yeah, that's another problem to probably get fixed. So I've heard Scorpion or some kind of name or something. I've got to take it somewhere and get it looked at. But I got to cross that bridge when we get there, one thing at a time. I can only afford so much. So, but I'm super excited for what we have in the pipeline, and as long as life just plays balls, because we always make these well laid out plans. Like I want to get up into the Sierra Nevada, start doing some smallmouth fishing. I also want to start doing some more swim bait, A-rig fishing for big fish. So that means I'm going to have to start, that means lately I've been kind of struggling with the content anyways, because it's winter. I got no fish finder. My boat's been in and out of the shop. It's like drama ever since I hit the island at the Delta. So I've been having issues with the boat. Had to replace the prop, had to replace the cable. Now the batteries are going bad. The live well stopped working. It's just like it's been a lot of headache. But we're crossing one bridge at a time, and we're just making progress. But anyways, like I was saying, I want to do so much, but just sometimes life takes your well planned, or your plans and just wrecks them. Just says, nah, but I'm okay. I'm pretty good at winging it. So whatever happens, I'm just going to get out there and have fun, fish, record it, share it with you guys and gals. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the entertainment and the fun times. I think this new Maloney's trip, you guys will get a nice laugh out of and some good times. There's like 25 fish in it. There's big fish. There's father and son moments. There's dog and father and son moments. There's bonding. There's some talking involved. Not a lot. There's not really any preaching or anything. Just conversations, snippets of it, and give you a little more of the inside scoop of what fishing's like with me on the boat. So not just here's a fish, caught it on this, see you on the next one. I'm out here at the lake. That's one thing I struggle with is when I get out there, I'm concerned with just trying to catch fish more than probably produce a quality content. So I think it would be better I go out to the lake, right? And focus on showing you guys a couple of tactics. So, okay, if I'm going to Ned rig fish, I'm going to throw it on this pound test, this type of line, this type of rod, catch 2 fish doing it, and that's a video. And then maybe toss out some drop shot, talk about what kind of rod, line, gear, colors, weather, and that's a video. Catch a few fish on it. Maybe take a jig, how I would use it in these conditions, catch a bass or 2 on it if possible, and that's a video. And if I'm lucky enough, I may be able to shoot 2, 3, 4, 5 videos on one trip. It's not going to be about catching 100 fish. It's going to be about catching the right fish and also doing a more entertaining, thoughtful process, if that makes sense, where I'm talking about what hook size I'm using, what weight I'm using, and trying to get a little more professional for you guys and gals. That's going to be the aim and the goal of the channel here in the next year, the next 6 months, is to focus on quality over quantity while we still maintain these live streams, a great personal connection with everybody, open dialogue, the ability to come fishing with me if you're local or anywhere in California, or if you're out of state and you want to fly in and visit, I'm always down to go fishing. I'm super easygoing guy. So, but the idea is I want to help people more. So I gotta focus on that. Is there a lot of people out there during the week? No, like if you go during Monday through Friday, there's decent, but it's not a ton of boat traffic. And then all the bass holes are always shooting to 2 places. They're either going to the dam or they're going upriver. That's where they all go. So everybody jumps in their bass boat and they smash upriver, Coyote Creek, the bridge. They go to the bridge pilings. They go up as far upriver as they until it gets super shallow, and they fish back from there. And they fish a lot of the points. There's a couple of spots I've noticed a lot of people fish. And I've got that lake kind of the same way, where I've got my spots that I like during certain times of the year. So, for example, New Maloney's during pre-spawn, I love the whole shoreline that's near the dam, a little bit down from the dam, going all the way down towards Angels Creek. That whole entire shoreline's money pre-spawn. Also love a couple of the creeks pre-spawn. Black Creek, Coyote Creek, and Angel Creek, but Angel's probably my favorite in pre-spawn and spawn. Summertime, I like to fish down by the dam, South Lake, and then all the way upriver where the fresh water's coming in. Fall, I kind of like to hit the Coyote, Black Creek, those two. I'll fish upriver a little bit, but I start to fish the main lake then as well. And then almost all winter long, I'm stuck on the main lake. But it also depends, El Nino or La Nina. So in an El Nino year, I'm probably going to be up in Coyote Creek and upriver. And I'm probably go check out Black Creek too. La Nina, you're going to find me more on the main lake by the dam, on island tops. You're going to find me in the central body. So it just makes sense, and I'm hoping that it clicks with you guys, right? So because when the lakes drop, the fish pull out, right? And when the lakes rise, the fish disperse and they go up shallower usually. And in an El Nino year, there's a lot of rain and water coming in. The lake rises quick, so these bass will push up quick. They'll push up shallower, I mean. And then in the drier, warmer years, when the lake level's lowering and it's not, then they pull out and they pull into those main lake points, long tapering points way out there, a mile away from shore. Great place to fish. I got a couple of fish yesterday, easily like 500 yards offshore. 300 yards on 3-4 football fields from anything. And I'm not on an island either. This is not an island. It's just a giant flat that comes out, and it's over by the dam. There's a couple of them, and I literally could, be way, way, way out there, and that's where I've just been smacking them. They're literally. I haven't found a place that isn't loaded with fish. If you're talking main lake, New Maloney's, going upriver, I struggled a little. You're talking in certain creek arms, I struggled a little. Head out to the main lake and just fish main lake points and some cuts and some channel swings and stuff on the main lake and stay deep. I've been murdering them. So hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show. I'm going to be getting my GoPros all prepped and ready for tomorrow. Got to get them all charged up. I've got to clear off the memory cards. But tonight I wanted to talk to you guys about that La Nina, El Nina. Excuse me, let everybody know we got all the cool giveaway prizes sent out. Talk to you guys about the importance of fishing in wood in the winter. And also, if you're going to do that, what you've got to fish with. You've got to fish with Texas rig, weedless, a jig with a big weed guard, stuff like that. So, you really got to put yourself in a position where you're not stuck in a box too, though. So there's a couple different things you can do. If the water temperature was cold too, I'd be upriver, floating, flying, and doing all kinds of cool stuff as well. LV 500's been a great lure. Started to slow down. So what's happening with the LV 500 is I'm catching bigger fish, but not as many. So I'll pick up a couple really nice ones and I'll put it down and I'll drop shot and Ned rig and stuff like that. But I think tomorrow it's going to be Texas rig and jigs in the trees. And then as soon as I'm done with that, I'm hightailing it up to the other side, and I'm going to use Ned rigs. So that's about it. Unless the fishing tells me that maybe it's changed and I'm doing something wrong, I'll adjust. One thing I can say that is the biggest tip I've ever gotten from somebody, and just the wisest comment I've ever heard in the world of fishing is fish the moment. Just simple as that. Fishing can be complicated. It can be tough. It can be hard to figure out. So just stop. Don't overthink it. Just look around and think of just the traditional what bass should be doing, what you kind of understand of it. Fish the moment, right? Because a lot of us, we get excited. It's winter time, or it's this time, and it's that time. We tell ourselves, okay, it's winter time. They're going to be biting this, 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 and this. And we got all our poles lined up. And they're all strung up with this and that, and these lures and those lures. And we get to the lake, and we force our opinions on the lake, and it either pays off or it doesn't, right? So the best advice I think I've been given by somebody is, you might not want to tie your lures until you get there. When you get there and you feel, hey, there's no wind, it's dead. I don't see any fish blowing up, no jumping. So it's like, let me try a few. You do some crankbait and some jerk bait and LV 500, a blade bait, whatever, and it just don't work out. Start thinking about fishing the moment. What should you do? Bluebird sky, no wind, kind of mild winter day. You're probably going to need to fish finesse, right? What about if it's similar conditions, but cloud cover moves in and the wind picks up? Now, instead of drop shotting all day, it's probably a good idea to pick something up, like an A-rig, a spinner bait, a jig. And that doesn't mean fish fast. You still fish slow, and but it may mean that now it's time to switch up your fishing, do something different according to the moment. So whatever the moment is telling you, fish it. And then if it doesn't work out, adjust from there. But when you go in with this pre-planned game plan that says that the weatherman says it's going to be 3 miles an hour and it's going to be this, and it's going to be that, and then you get there and it's slightly different, and you have in your mind already what you're going to do, that can be one of the worst things to do as a fisherman. Go out there with an open mind and just fish the moment. So great thing that a buddy of mine has told me. And there's also a YouTube channel called Fish the Moment, and Intuitive Angling with Randy Blaukat. Some of my favorite guys to watch. I don't watch a lot of guys on YouTube anymore. There's the one thing I don't want to do is have an unintended bias or either unintended effect of taking something from somebody else, because it's great. Like if I see you catching fish on something I've never thought, I'm going to go out and do it. But what I'm not going to do is go sit down, watch a tactical bassin video, and they're saying these are the best lures to use this time, and then I'm going to turn around and mimic and do that same exact video, but with that's not how I want to do it. I want to go out there and figure out what's working, what's going on, and put my own fresh new content out there. And fishing's fishing. So a lot of the guys are going to be doing the same thing. That don't mean you invented it and you own it. So if someone gets on a hot winter crankbait bite, they're not the first to ever do that, and they won't be the last. And they're not going to be the only YouTube channel saying that. But I think there is an inherent possibility of when you're a YouTuber and you see these guys that have millions of views doing this or doing that, then you end up wanting to chase that fame or clout, or like, hey, I'm going to go try what these guys are doing. Might be a good idea, but that's just not how I roll. Like I don't usually, I don't bite other people's stuff. Let's say, and if I happen to do a video, the same exact content that let's say Brian Latimer's doing or Tactical Bassin, then it's going to be a coincidence. It's not going to be because I watch their stuff. So I don't watch a lot of guys anymore. I used to watch a lot of Tactical Bassin, Milliken, Ty, and a bunch of others, Greg Blanchard. Now I've narrowed it down to people I think who are actually giving out legit, solid fishing advice, and that advice that is broken down in a way that I can use it in different scenarios and situations when they're giving out the true juice or some true knowledge. And I really respect guys that are doing that. For example, one thing that kind of struck me is it made a lot of sense, and I never thought about it before, is I'm watching Randy Blaukat, Intuitive Angling with Randy Blaukat. I did a jig video the other day. I thought it was pretty decent, put a lot of jig trailers, modifications, tips, and tricks. But Randy made this statement. He said, check this out. He said, if the water is dirty, right, I would think you're going to use a darker color. Probably, right? versus a more finesse or lighter color, realistic color is probably going to be in clear water. But he made something I didn't think about before. He said, when you're fishing in clear water, you want to use a heavy weight. When you're fishing in dark water or stained water, low visibility, you want to fish a smaller weight. The reason for that is in the clear water, the fish can see that lure. They have time to study it. If it falls like a bullet and it falls fast, you're using a half ounce or heavier jig, it's going to pull that jig down. It's going to sink fast. Bass doesn't have a ton of time to study it. It's got to make the decision, feed or not. And also, with that heavy weight, it's a true reactionary bite. And then what you do from it from there, how you hop it, whatever, that's all a different technique, right? But the idea of that initial fall. So when you cast out clear water, you have two ones. You have a big heavy jig and you have a light jig. That light jig kind of takes forever to fall. The bass can look at it and decide, no, that's not for me, and swim away. Big, heavy, half-ounce jig rocketing down, bass follows it, picks it up. And then dirty water, bass can't really see. They're going by feel, lateral line, smell. They're going by, if they can see, they can only see so far. So if you cast and there's these fish in an area and you're using too heavy of a jig, the lure falls right past them. They don't get a chance to see it. They may have detected the movement, but they're like, what was that? And then the jig goes hopping away and they can't see it. But if you've got this lighter weight jig, takes longer to fall, gets the bass's attention, they can kind of hear the splash, feel the movement, maybe smell the salts and whatever, and go take a look at that. It gives them a little bit more time. And because of the dirty water, it just made sense to me. And he didn't really put it in those words as such. He put in some information like that, but he was just saying, I don't know what it is, but it was his 40 plus years of experience that if you have 4 or 5 feet more of visibility or 7 feet of visibility, whatever he said, he's using a heavier jig. And when it's dirty water, he's using a lighter weight. Now, with that tip or trick or information there, he's telling you something that most other people aren't telling you, because everyone knows when it's like this, you do that, right? In general, usually people know when it's windier, you're going to use a heavier weight, as then you cast your lure if it's a light and it kind of makes a rainbow cast, the line bows out and you try to cast over here, but then the line is coming like this. And it's just annoying. If you're finesse fishing, you can't even feel the bite barely or the bottom because there's too much wind or current, right? So we know, okay, we should probably use a heavier or something, right? But thinking of water clarity, I almost would have thought it would have been reversed, that in clear water, you'd want something more finesse and slow and creeping and crawling so the bass can see it and study and trick them. While in dirty water, I would think you want something more reaction, right? Well, it makes sense when he said it that way. It clicked. It was like, yeah, you know what? It probably does make sense to use a heavier jig. And, talking about the stuff that I throw my jigs on, I've been using a lot of 7.2, 7.6 medium heavy rods to throw my jigs on. Think again. What kind of jigs do I use? I use Bijan Bumblebee jigs with no weed guards most of the time. So I don't need that extra stiff rod with all that power. People talk about all this power. I don't know where the hell they get the idea that they need so much damn power. Because even unless you're using a really thick hook, even then it does not take too much power to drive it into the mouth. What can happen though is if your leverage is off and you get bit and you're holding your pull tip high and then you set the hook and you only have this much, then it probably helps to have a lot stiffer rod because you don't have enough leverage. But if you get bit and you drop your rod tip and bow, you'll set into them with a trout rod. It doesn't matter. You're gonna hook the fish, right? A hook is sharp. It's gonna pop through that fish, even a double digit. It's gonna dig in. So it's like you don't really need a 7.6 medium heavy to throw a jig. Now that I've been, and a lot of guys who do pitching and flipping, a big rod has longer casts, more sensitivity. Great in the winter, right? That's why I like it, because it has more sensitivity and I can cast longer and do more searching because I have no fish finder. So I can bomb this thing a mile and drag it around, sit on one spot, rainbow cast in a bunch of different areas, or fan cast, I guess is the rainbow that goes like this. So fan cast, splitting a location up and just casting and fishing the whole thing real thoroughly, right? Um, but my double digit, look, 2 years ago, my double digit on a jig came on a medium action, like 6'6" or something, Walmart rod. And it stuck that fish just fine. And then when you're fishing docks and when you're flipping and pitching or fishing up shallow, that shorter rod is actually key, not a big old long stick, right? So, it just, I try to pay attention to the channels that are open, honest, but other than that, I really don't watch a lot of it because I don't want it to taint what I'm doing here. So when I do my videos, it's honestly what information I've been able to compile from actual fishing experience over the last 25 years. Maybe wrong. I don't claim to be right or to know it all. I just try to share, tell you guys, hey, this is what's working or not for me. So appreciate everybody tonight. Smash that like button if you guys could. Share the video, or when it's over, leave a comment. It really helps the algorithm, and hopefully we can get the channel growing and doing some awesome things here. But I just really appreciate everybody. I hope you guys have a great night. We're going to sign off. I'm going to go get ready for the trip tomorrow. And hopefully we'll see some of you guys and gals on the live stream tomorrow. So thanks for watching Common Sense Fishing. You guys have a wonderful night.